Hello, everyone. I'm Janet Blount, founder of Careers Are Us. Today, I have Ms. Karla Harris, a former teacher who worked as a special educator in Baltimore City Public Schools and as a math and language teacher for Friend School of Baltimore. During the pandemic, although she's retired, Ms. Harris is assisting with in-person instruction at Edgewood Elementary School in Baltimore City. Ms. Harris worked for the American Red Cross for 8 years, teaching its 7-hour babysitting course to hundreds of teens and preteens. She has also directed summer camp at her church and assisted her husband in his work in the media ministry. Ms. Harris is the mother of 3 grown children, and today she will share with us tips for parents on how they can help their elementary school students. Welcome, Ms. Harris.
Thank you, Ms. Blunt. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. Let's just jump right on in here then.
All right.
Ms. Harris, so much has changed as a result of the pandemic, yet so much is the same. What can parents do to help their children in school these days?
Well, I think it's easiest to start with what we know and what we think we know and how we think we help our children. When we think about starting school, what comes to mind? I think for most people, in an effort to help their child to be prepared, the first thing that comes to mind is the importance of knowing their ABCs, even before they arrive. And knowing ABCs is a good thing, but believe it or not, there are prereqs to that. There are things that we need for your children to arrive with, even more important than ABCs. And those things are self-control and curiosity. Self-control and curiosity. When children come to us with those 2 things, we can teach them almost anything. They're not behind, they're open, they are the proverbial sponge that you hear so much about, and they're able to control their own behavior so that we can address the curiosity that they bring with them. And I want to talk about self-control for just a second. I'll drop back and say that self-control does not equal obedience. Sometimes I see children in school who are obedient. That is silent, they barely move, they barely speak. They are unable to advocate for themselves, even in the simplest, what we would call the simplest of situations. For instance, if we talk in science about the sun, we talk about the weather, and then I pass out a paper in a lower grade, and it's a picture of the sun that they are supposed to color, yellow, of course, but maybe one child doesn't get a yellow crayon. So everybody's coloring and everybody's sort of chatting in what we call educational silence. It's acceptable level of noise. And then all of a sudden, a kid on the end busts out crying. What happened? What happened? And after much going around and much coaxing, the child manages to say, I didn't get a yellow crayon. But they were presenting themselves. They continued to behave as had been drilled into them. Don't you move unless the teacher says move. Don't you talk unless the teacher asks you. And this can kind of squash their curiosity, and it can kind of cut us off from teaching them how to communicate for themselves and how to advocate for themselves. And so we have to figure out how to instill self-control and how to allow curiosity to continue. And for that, in a nutshell, the best way, I think, is a wonderful resource called loveandlogic.com. Write that down, loveandlogic.com. So many free resources, so many ways to raise children and have fun while you're doing it. So your question was, how can we get children ready for school? The other thing that's helpful to them is to put into them a love for learning, so that they associate learning with what I call warm and cuddly, safe and snuggly. And you can do that. You can start that by sharing with them in a warm and inviting environment. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a house full of books or go to the library every day or every week. It just means that the child needs to be able to associate warm and good feelings with learning. It could be something as simple as taking a flyer from Giant or a flyer from the Sunday newspaper and talking about the foods that are in there and talking about where you would like to go in this section of the travel section of the newspaper. Talk about the trees while the child is sitting right here with you and make room in the chair, warm and cuddly, safe and snuggly, so that when you are exchanging information with the child is attaching that situation to good feelings. It feels good to learn. So when they come to school to us and it's time to learn more, we attach straight to their good feelings. All right. Another thing that we need to know before a child comes to school is that first they learn to listen, then they learn to speak, then they learn to read, then they learn to write. And so all honest parents want their children to learn to read. And so now you understand that if they're going to read, we need to have conversation with them. They need to hear thousands and thousands and millions of words so that they can begin to associate the words that they have heard with these scratches that the teachers are showing them on the papers. Of course, scratches are letters, but they need to be able to associate that. And just a quick sidebar, we also need to understand that if I want to be able to write German, I need to have heard German before. If you want your child to easily write English, they need to hear the English that they are going to be tasked to write. And I call those, it's almost like, you don't want it to be a foreign language, it's an additional language. Standard English, non-standard English. Not right English and wrong English, but standard English and non-standard English. And understand that children will be tasked in communicating and writing in standard English. And so if they say something non-standard, not a problem. I would ask my students for the SET, or the Standard English Translation. What's an example? He don't have no more. Well, I understand, but give me the SET. He doesn't have any more. I ain't got no more. I don't have any more. Languages communicate thoughts. He ain't got no more communicates the idea very well. However, and that's non-standard English, but your child is going to be taught in standard English, so they need to understand one with the other, one from the other. Mm-hmm. It's very important to be able to do that. There's so many things, and keep in mind that preparation for college starts today. Preparation for college starts today. It doesn't start in middle school. It starts today, and it doesn't matter what age your child is today. If you're thinking college, it starts today. Mm-hmm. Is college conducted in non-standard English? Do you want your child to go to college? Then you have to figure out how to make sure that your child understands, speaks, reads, and writes standard English, because college starts today. And there's so many things that they already know that we will be able to turn into more learning. especially when it comes to things like language arts and math.
Okay. So if we look a little closer, are there tools or approaches parents can use to help their children with language arts?
Actually, that was where I was headed. First, you have to buy into that for a child to become proficient in language arts. Remember, first they listen, then they speak, then they read, then they write. I am so fearful these days that conversation is diminishing in our high-tech world. Everyone is on some sort of device, and the children speak less and less. But remember, first they listen. That is, they're listening to us. But if we are on our devices, we're not speaking as much as they need to hear. And we have learned that children do not learn as much from devices as they do from speaking with people. If you're old enough, you remember Teddy Ruxpin, and that was the bear with the cassette tape in his side, with the Velcro book, with the book Velcro to its paws, and you were supposed to sit your kid in the chair with the bear, plug the bear in, and let the bear read to the kid. Okay, well, we've come a ways since then, but I don't think the learning has changed as much. We are still the pivotal point. We are important. We matter a lot. We have to understand that all they want is us. All they want is us. And we trick them sometimes into thinking it's devices, but they want to hear from us. And nothing's going to replace that. They can get more things, but nothing will replace the exchange, the engagement with a caring, encouraging adult. Nothing can replace it. So we're speaking more about the language arts, somewhere in between listening to us speak, learning to speak. They learn to reason. And as you go to loveandlogic.com, they'll teach you about throwaway choices and how these are helpful in teaching children self-control. And in a nutshell, throwaway choices are choices that you give to a kid, and it doesn't matter what they pick. For instance, you say, do you want to play strawberry shortcake, or do you want to play chutes and ladders? Actually, as an adult, I don't care which one they pick, but giving the child choices makes them feel powerful. And this is a human trait. That's why, bosses act like they're giving you choices. The government acts like they're giving you choices, because people feel like they have control when they make choices, because people who call the shots, people who make the choices have the control. And at about 2 years old, human beings are designed, for whatever reason, to want to have control. That's why you hear about that thing called terrible twos. Well, they don't have to be terrible. I promise you that. Especially when you give the child enough choices.
Now, let me ask, I've always wondered, language arts and reading, are they the same or different?
Language arts is not synonymous with reading. Reading is a part of language arts.
I see.
Of course, there's the grammar portion of it, where you learn how to use punctuation and the rest of that. And then there's the writing portion of it. And of course, spelling.
Okay, so language arts is kind of like the heading, and then all these subcategories are part of language arts.
That's it.
Okay. So if we were to identify some of those subcategories like reading, what tips could you share for parents on how they can help their children read?
That's a great question. Choose any book. And here's another resource, MarylandBookBank.org. Maryland, free books waiting for you, hundreds of thousands of free children's books waiting for you to come and get them. All right, so you've got your stack of books, the biggest, whatever your child can carry, they can take away for free every month. So you've got your books at home. How can you help your child in language arts? Sit down together and depending on the level of your child, talk about the pictures, you alternate reading pages. You read a page, they read a page. You read a sentence, they read a sentence, and then ask the question, what is the problem? Is he going to get in trouble? Is he going to be helpful? Talk about the story plot. Ask them to make predictions. What do you think is going to happen next? Let's read and see. And all of this is headed toward writing. How do you help your children in language arts? Encourage them, require them to speak in sentences. If your child doesn't speak in sentences, you don't expect them to do well in language arts. I'd like to add one more thing. If you think that you would like to help your child catch up, or that your child is just ready. Some children are ready to read. There is an excellent, undeniable resource on the internet called Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. And this is by Dr. Siegfried Engelmann, who just recently passed away. He is the father of direct instruction. It's a teaching technique that most schools use. And the ideal thing, the wonderful thing about this text, besides the fact that it works, is that everything you need to know, say, and do is in this book. You don't have to buy any extra flashcards or any extra anything. It's all here and it works. So if you have someone in your life, I've had experience where it worked with an older child who was not reading at all when it was time to go to middle school. But this book was able to move him to just about second grade level. The book is designed to move the reader to second grade level. And for that child, that was a huge leap in getting him ready. And so don't hesitate. And the child will enjoy it. It's for comprehension. It's for conversation. It's a great resource.
You've indicated language is a real building process. And I think most of us see math as the subject that builds on previous skills and lessons too. Do you have any tips for parents on how they can help their children with math?
Absolutely, absolutely. First, just realize again that learning should be fun. The more you can work math into your everyday comings and goings, the more your child will succeed once they come to formal training in the school building or online as we are these days. What do I mean? For instance, they'll learn to count, we call that by rote. They'll learn to count to 10, but they can't count 10 objects. That's two different skills. So if your child demonstrates that they can count to 10, but you give them 10 cookies to count, don't be surprised and don't blow up don't get in a huff when they don't count 10 cookies. Two different skills. So one of the best ways I know to teach it is to count the steps that you take, especially on a set of steps. When you go up, count. When you go down, count. This will help the child to develop the skill of relating one number to one object or one event. Taking a step, that's one, another, that's two, another, that's three, and so on. So you want to build math into your everyday comings and goings. Another thing that we could use your help with is their vocabulary, their math vocabulary. We need you to say things like, more people are coming for the picnic, are coming for the cookout. Add 4 more cups to the table. End of math lesson. Don't talk about math, but you've used more and you've used add at the same time. So they associate adding with more. And so I say to you, please help us. Use more, use less, use add, and even step out and use the word subtract. Or if you can't stomach that, say take away from. Say take away. So that they can get what we call math sense. And again, it should be fun, and you work it into everything that you do. Looking for every opportunity. In parking lots for small children, ask them, what section are we parked in? And sometimes you need to be in a lot where they have those great big numbers up on the pole. They say, we're in red 4, whole math lesson. Do you see? Math is all around us. And so use it every day so that when they come to the formal training, it's formal, but it's not foreign. So not only do we need them to have number sense, we need number facts. It will never go away. Please do not wait for us to teach number facts. Number facts go right back to your daily comings and goings. How many cookies do you want? I want 3. So you give them 1 cookie. How many more do you need now? And count here, 1, 2. Here's 2 more. There's the word more. Let me add 2 more. How many do you have now? Count them, 1, 2, 3, whatever it takes. Those are beginning number facts. This is called a fact family card, all right? You notice one big difference. First is the shape is different. Number cards were rectangles. Of course, this is a triangle. And the best thing about this, 2 things. The numbers, the answers are on the front so that the learners can see the answers. The other thing that's excellent, and in this set, that we're teaching addition and subtraction at the same time. Brain science has taught us that you want to store this family of numbers in the child's brain as soon as possible. So even though you may first use the cards for addition, that is 1 plus 9 is 10, 9 plus 1 is 10, the child sees these 3 numbers. And as they go on to learn subtraction, when they are presented with just 2 of the numbers, 10 minus 9, what's the answer? Their brain will float them the missing number. I promise you. I promise you. You want to expose them to addition and subtraction in this manner. Do not use the old number flashcards, they're called. Do not use the old flashcards. Addition and subtraction are related. And I'll tell you something else I've seen. By the time the children get to 5th grade, they are so burnt out with trying to learn 3 different sets of facts, the addition facts, the subtraction facts, the multiplication facts. They never learn the division facts. They just don't learn them. But if we teach them 2 sets of facts, just 2, a set for addition and subtraction, and then a set for multiplication division, they're well on their way. I'd really like to share with you a 5th grade word problem to let you see what they're up against and to let you know whether you're up for the challenge of actually helping them with their homework. And I say the best way to help them with their homework is to make sure that they are strong in number sense and strong in number facts. If you do that for us, and then make sure that they complete the assignments that we send home, your child should be okay. There's nothing harder than trying to teach 5th, 6th, 12th grade math to children who do not know number facts. That's the absolute truth. Baltimore City, the state of Maryland, has embraced a wonderful curriculum called Eureka. All of it is online. You can look at your child's entire math curriculum online, page for page, lesson for lesson, assignment for assignment. It's all there, it's all free. at eurekanewyork.com. And we can share that with you as well. Another thing that's helpful before we go, for children to know, you can help them with, so far it's math sense, math facts, and now skip counting. So you taught them to count from 1 to 10. Make sure they can count by 2s, by 5s, by 10s as a minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
Now,
harder to teach. 5th grade makes teaching 5th grade harder than a child that can't skip count.
mm-hmm.
Children,
Miss Harris,
yes.
you've mentioned number facts and number sense. Okay. Now we saw an example of number facts, and also if you could share with us how you get that little triangle. Do you make it yourself, or can you buy them someplace, or how does that work? Now, so that is an example of number facts. Number sense, I'm not exactly sure what is a number sense. What?
Okay, first, these are fact family cards. I made these myself on my computer.
Oh.
Or you can buy a set online. Of course, Amazon sells everything. And there are different kinds online. You can get the addition subtraction kind. You can get the multiplication division kind, fact family cards. And I have this big kind because it's to show a class so that classes of children can respond. They come small, about 3 inches, and you can practice number facts that way. Number sense is an understanding, a feeling. It's just an understanding. If I want more, I need to add.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If I have too much, I need to take away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it. Oh, and go for division and multiplication. A fast way to add more is to multiply, to have twice as much. And division is sharing. You can associate those two. If I have to, I always talk about my PBJ. If I have to share my peanut butter and jelly sandwich with 10 other people, what size pieces will we get? Will we get small pieces, smaller pieces? If I kept it for myself and my brother, what size pieces do we get compared to if I had to share it with my 10 cousins?
Mm-hmm.
We need to know division makes things smaller with whole numbers.
Mm-hmm.
That's math sense. The toughest child to teach is a discouraged child. The more discouraged a child is, the harder it is for anybody to teach them. So if you want your child to succeed, and I know you do, then you will continue to encourage them, or you will encourage them more and more every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. This has been extremely helpful information, Ms. Harris. And the book that you held up that would help parents who would like to help their children learn to read. Ideally, you've used it with a 5th grader, but what is the ideal age for that, or how young can a student be in order to use that book?
Actually, the author mentions in the foreword, if you have a 4-year-old that's eager to learn, then this book could work for them. And you take your cues from your child. If they are restless, if they are if they are falling out of the chair, they might not be ready. It's not fun. Don't force it. Not at 4 years old. They don't need to read at a 2nd grade level at 4 years old. Wait and come around a few months later, and maybe they'll be ready then. But it should be fun, and you should be able to say, look, now you can read a sentence. Let's go read it to grandma, or whatever. And you get on the phone and you show grandma what you read the sentence by yourself. And let the sentence be a celebration point for dinner. or something like that. Maybe we're asking too much too soon, but the more encouraged they feel, the more they will learn. There are so many discouraged adults because they were discouraged as children. And we want our children, everyone wants their children to do well, and so we are going to encourage them more.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ms. Harris, is there anything else, any other questions you think I should ask, or have we covered everything that you think at this point that will help a parent help their children to succeed?
I think we've done a good job of covering general, and I can't emphasize enough the importance of conversation with your child. Remember, first they listen to you to understand, and they grasp that, hey, she's moving her lips and she's not crying, because babies cry first, right? Then they grasp the concept that they can move their lips when they get ready to say words when nothing is wrong. That's when they start cooing. That's a milestone for babies. And then they grasp that they can say words too, because they were listening to you. So understand how important you are. You are their foundation. You make the difference. You matter a lot. And so you will have more conversation. You will be more encouraging, and you will see your child begin to progress even more because of you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Once again, thank you for sharing this extremely helpful information. Those of you who are viewing this video, I invite you to visit my YouTube channel and view videos on where are the jobs and how we can prepare our children for them. That's a series I created during the pandemic. And one of the ways that we can help our children prepare for jobs is implement some of the strategies that Ms. Harris has shared with us. Once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure as usual. And thank you for all your hard work, your compassion, and your caring for families and their children.
Thank you.